Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is John Viglotti. On behalf of OTC Markets, we're very pleased you joined us for our next presentation from Baselode Energy Corp. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides. You can also view a company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Scheduled Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome James Sykes. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Baselode Energy Corp, which trades on the OTCQB venture market under the symbol BSENF and on the TSXV under the symbol FIND. Welcome back, James.
Thanks, John. It's a pleasure to be here, especially amongst all of these amazing uranium companies. And I'm very proud to represent Baselode on this day for your uranium conference. Baselode, I think, is an important uranium company in the investor platform. And I think we've got probably one of the best uranium assets out there. It represents a very shallow and potentially low cost operation to help extract uranium for today's growing needs. So here we are, Baselode Energy. We have a new near surface uranium discovery that we call Accio. I'm going to talk mostly about Accio, but also Baselode's plans moving forward. Now, the other thing I'd like to kind of point out, though, is you probably have seen this or something similar from the other companies and ones who will follow. But the uranium market's hot. There's no doubt about it. I'm going to get your attention down to that red arrow. Back in 2005, 2006, before the previous bull run took off, that's what things are looking like today. And if you follow a lot of the analysts or you see things out on Twitter, social media platforms, they're all proposing that the spot price is going to reach $100 or even higher. I've seen $200, $300, and it's very possible. Look at the spot price growth over the last 6 months alone. It has grown by 60%. It's gone from $50 to $80. What other commodity out there can do that? I can't think of anything. That's 60% growth in 6 months. That's incredible. It's driven by a supply-demand imbalance. Demand is soaring. Demand is the highest that we've ever seen it throughout the entire nuclear industry. We need uranium. We need it more now than ever, especially with green energy initiatives that are being proposed by governments. This is almost mandate. We need clean energy. Nuclear energy is one of the cleanest and safest, and definitely is the best baseload power source that we've ever achieved. So demand's increasing and will continue to increase as we see global builds out continue, especially being led in Asian countries. But it's the supply side that's really changing this whole narrative. And when we looked at that last bull cycle at the red arrow, the supply side was well met. There were mines in Africa, Australia, North America, Kazakhstan. There was plentiful supply out there, but we're not seeing the same supply today. A lot of the African operations are in care and maintenance. Australia's largest mine, Ranger, is now complete. They're not producing any more uranium. A lot of the American operations are also on care and maintenance. Canada's Cameco have only recently, within the past year or two, restarted their operations at McArthur River, and Cigar Lake looks to be ramping up. However, those two operations also have had some supply chain issues, so their production guidance is lower than what they had estimated. The coup in Niger has disrupted a lot of potential uranium from Global Atomic, who are trying to develop their Dasa deposit, but also from Orano's projects in Niger that were producing uranium. Those have now been disrupted. So we've got the war in Ukraine. There's a lot of international activity that is diminishing the supply side on the uranium front. With the prices now starting to get back up into what would be considered incentivized prices for a lot of operations to start to come back online. That's exactly what we're starting to see. The first movers are the previous mines and the ISL operations, because they're typically easier to get going, and they're moving. You'll probably hear from some of those companies in this conference. But on the hard rock side of things, Baselode takes a different approach. We're looking for near surface, shallow uranium mineralization in a well-known uranium jurisdiction, the Athabasca Basin in Saskatchewan, Canada. And we're centralized, our projects are all within proximity to pre-existing and licensed mills. And that's our focus. Since our inception in 2020, we've completed over 30,000 meters of diamond drilling, especially on Akio. Akio is our uranium discovery. And it's of merit in that it is probably one of the nearest surface high-grade uranium deposits in the world. We have mineralization starting in 2 pods, not just one now, but 2 pods, starting at 28 meters and 32 meters beneath the surface. That's shallow. If anybody follows hockey, the width of a hockey rink is 25 meters. Not the length, but the width of a hockey rink is 25 meters. We've got mineralization starting at 28 meters. Basically, you skate the width of a hockey rink, you've hit mineralization. That's all it is. Very shallow, very easy to access. We're a well-funded company we just completed a raise of $10.7 million. The number that you see on your screen is outdated as of the last quarter, Q2, sorry. We'll have an updated Q3 report coming out by the end of the month, November, and we'll have about $17 million in the bank. We completed $10.7 million raise, all flow through, and that will go in towards exploration for 2024. We've got $11.5 million earmarked for exploration in itself on 4 of our projects. We'll have a very busy year, a lot of news to flow. On the management side, we're a proven team of deposit finders in the Athabasca Basin. Myself, I've been attributed with about 550 million pounds of uranium discovery directly and indirectly. And as I talked about the uranium market fundamentals, there's no better time to get into uranium than now. Now is the time. Nobody has missed the window. The window is still wide open, and we're going to see things take off. The juniors haven't performed as the producers have, but that's the same situation as the previous bull run. So we do expect that the junior uranium market will pick up, and we will see some appreciation amongst the players out there, especially the ones with assets that will potentially contribute to this growing nuclear demand. Our projects are all strategically located outside of the Athabasca Basin. We're looking for basement hosted deposits. We don't want the sandstone. And I'll further elaborate on our exploration thesis later on in the presentation, just to show you where our projects are and where the Akio deposit is located with that yellow dot. So close to the mill. See the Key Lake mill there? That's about 70 kilometers away as the crow flies. There's a road that connects Key Lake to MacArthur. We're about 40 kilometers away from that road. Very easy to access. Not like we're building new infrastructure or require a lot of just new roads or power lines or even to build a mill. Everything is right in this area. This is the perfect jurisdiction, perfect area to make discoveries and develop them. This is Akio. It's comprised of 9 individual uranium pods. What is a uranium pod? Uranium pod is a concentration of uranium at greater than 0.1% U3O8 with no greater than 2 meters of internal dilution. So they're just basically showing the results that we have put out in news releases and where we can combine those results and make a cohesive outline of mineralization. That's basically what a pod is. So it shows us where our mineralization is. 9 individual pods, and they cover a 175 meters strike, or 175 meters wide by 375 meters along strike. We are open in many directions. We're still open to the north, where you see pod 7 extension. We can continue drilling there. Last week, we put out news where we hit our highest grades from the 2023 drill program, 4% U3O8 over 0.55 meters. That was up there in that pod 7 extension area. That was part of a larger system, 1% over 8 meters which itself was part of 0.6% over 15 meters. This mineralization is wide open on strike. That's a big hit and is relatively shallow at 123 meters beneath the surface. We see pod 7 extending another 75 to 100 meters to the north. With everything that we've learned about Akio throughout the previous years of drilling, we also believe that the system is open to the south, as we do have drill holes out there, but now that we have a better control on the structural system and the alteration system, we can better target the potential strike length of mineralization in these areas. There's also a target in the sandstone, which is that larger yellow polygon, faded yellow polygon there. That represents a little skip of Athabasca sandstone. We have unconformity target potential in that area on the eastern side of that sandstone, where we do see by far our best and strongest sandstone uranium anomalies. And typically in the Athabasca, those are the type of anomalies that you want to follow up. So we think that there is potential for unconformity. Why is unconformity mineralization so important? That's simply put, that's where you get your high grades. That's where you get your 5%, your 20%, your MacArthur River and Cigar Lakes. They all form at the unconformity on a structural contact, exactly like what we're seeing here at Akio. We plan to put some more drill holes into that area. And of course, we have called this a high-grade deposit because we've seen a lot of high-grade uranium mineralization throughout a number of these pods. So it's a growing system. It's shallow, which is the key takeaway. Again, that hockey rink analogy. Next time you see a hockey rink, think of Akio. Starting at about 25 meters beneath the surface, you go down to 200 meters. Mineralization's open beneath 200 meters. We've focused mostly on the low-hanging fruit, which is all the shallow stuff. But now that we know that alteration and mineralization and the structural system are all wide open at depth, that will be a plan for us to move forward. To emphasize some of the results that we've seen that we achieved in 2023, most of it was in pod 7, where we've been very successfully extended the width of pod 7 mineralization. We've seen higher grades, we've seen more mineralization, and also we've now tagged at that overburden contact in pod 7 at about 32 meters. That intercept was about 0.67% over 2.1 meters. So pretty encouraging results being close to the surface. Now, overburden, for those of you who don't know, are the glacial deposits left behind after the glaciers retreated. So they're comprised of sand, boulders, silt, things like that. Removing the overburden is an earth-moving exercise. It is not a mining exercise. It's earth-moving. You don't need to blast. You don't need a lot of heavy equipment. You just need the equipment to move loose, unconsolidated sediments. Once that is opened up, we've got 2 pods of mineralization right there at the bedrock contact. It really doesn't get easier than that. It's not like we're putting a shaft down for a kilometer, putting a decline down for a kilometer. This is mineralization within 25 to 30 meters from surface, easily accessible in an open pit scenario. For those of you who follow mining, you'd know that open pits are far more cost effective than underground mines, even with lower grades. Some of the highlights from the 2023 program that I mentioned, we did complete 7,500 meters in 36 drill holes. We do have assays remaining for 6 drill holes now on the exploration side of things. All of the results for Akio have been published. Some of the results that you can see there are very encouraging, as I mentioned for hole 102, which is the pod 7 extension, 0.6% over 15 meters. That starts at 120 meters beneath the surface. We also have an encouraging results from hole 95, which are probably the best results of the drill program. 0.41% U3O8 over 35 meters, and that starts at 43.5 meters true vertical depth. Within that, we've got a high-grade core of 1% over 7.5 meters. Again, shallow mineralization. This is what we're seeing at Akio. It doesn't get better than that. It's great. Hole 88. There's our depth potential. That was the Those are some of the best results that we have seen at depth. Very encouraging to continue following that up. If I quickly jump back and we look at these two pods, specifically pods 7, which is the browner color furthest to the west, and pod 4, which is the yellowish color furthest to the south, the largest one, we're convinced that pod 7 and pod 4 are the same pod. Now that we've drilled in that area and have found more mineralization, more than what we thought was previously there, we're absolutely convinced that the same structure goes through that area, and the mineralization from pod 7 are along that same structure. That structure is open at depth. So with those two pods being connected, we've got mineralization starting at the overburden contact and continuing down beneath 200 meters and wide open. That's the potential that still exists at Akio. We're not done. We have to keep drilling. We have to keep. To reemphasize what we're seeing there and some other drill hole highlights from 2022 drill program. We're seeing shallow mineralization. We're seeing a number of pods. We have little skiffs of mineralization that suggest to us that there is mineralization open throughout the whole system. We've had outstanding results throughout all of our years of drilling. Hole 69 with 0.9% over 31 meters. And that starts at 70 meters beneath the surface. That's an incredible drill result. You can't really find those type of grades elsewhere in the world. Typically, you only find those in the Athabasca. We've completed about 9,000 meters in 2023 overall. About 1,700 meters were completed at our Catharsis project earlier in the year. It was the first time that project has ever been drilled historically. No drill holes have ever been on that project area. We put the first ones in, 8 drill holes, and we were very encouraged with the results that we see there. We're seeing a lot of alteration styles that are akin and similar to Athabasca uranium deposits. We're seeing little sniffs of mineralization, or at least encouraging radioactivity at key lithological contacts, again, similar to other deposits. We're seeing structural systems with the right alteration styles, but also that have indicated that there was uranium-bearing fluids within that structural system. That's all within one target area. Catharsis is a large project with at least 43 different targets to follow up on. So we're encouraged to go back there next year in 2024 and follow up with a larger drill program. The bulk of our exploration in 2023 was completed on the Hook project. Akio was within the Hook project. We put 30 drill holes into there. Huge success rate. A lot of drill holes intersected mineralization. We've extended mineralization in areas that we've extended mineralization beyond the modeled limits that we had completed last year. So the system, even within where we drilled previously, the system still continues to grow and expand. We did some additional exploration around the Hook project, in which we've seen encouraging alteration and structural systems in there as well. So very active year. 2023 was a very successful year. We're very happy with the results, and we will continue to build on that in 2024. In Q1 2024, we're going back to Catharsis. We love the project. We think there's a lot of potential there. And we're going in with a larger drill program. 2,000 meters, 10 drill holes. The plan is to hit a number of targets. And hopefully we will see those. We're also planning some additional airborne geophysical surveys, and we'll be doing that shortly. Once we hit Q2, Q3, things take off. We're looking at drilling 3 projects by then. Akio obviously will get the bulk of our attention, with further expansion and delineation drilling for about 10,000 meters. We will continue exploring our Hook project, which hosts Akio, but targeting some of the others that are very prospective. There's one target in particular that we wanted to drill in 2023. We can get around to it. We'll go revisit 2024, but it is the southern extent of the Akio superstructure. We also want to drill our Bear project and our Shadow project as well. That would be the first time either of those projects would also be drilled. Very encouraging exploration targets on those. Very similar to what we targeted for our Accio discovery. We think there's potential on all of these projects. 2024 drill programs, exploration programs entirely are all funded. We have $11.5 million in the bank to complete our exploration plans in 2024. Completely well funded, and we have to spend that money. As Q4 rolls around, we do look to complete an NI 43-101 mineral resource on Accio. That's the goal. That was our goal this year as well. Unfortunately, fortunately, we discovered more mineralization on the strike extension of Pod 7. We discovered more mineralization at depth, and we discovered wider mineralization in Pod 7. So we didn't feel it was justified for us to come out with a mineral resource without including a fully defined Pod 7. That's the intention for next year, though. We'll come back next year, more definition drilling, more extension drilling, hopefully get to that resource estimate by next year. Getting towards the end of things, 2023 was a great year. 2024 is looking like an even better year with more money that we need to spend on the project. And I think what really differentiates Baselode from a lot of our peers is our thesis. Everything's summed up in this slide. You can find this slide on our corporate presentation as well. We call it the Athabasca 2.0. And it's not always about grade. Really, any mining environment, any deposit, it comes down to your economics, which a lot of times is also relies on mineralogy, engineering capabilities. And there's nothing easier than an open pit mine. That's what Accio is. Accio is on the left-hand side, where you don't need these super high-grade deposits. You've got no sandstone cover, so you don't have water issues to deal with. You can open pit these styles of deposits with anywhere between 0.1 and 0.4%. That's been proven. That's been proven at Uranium City, at Clough Lake, at Eagle Point. These are the type of mines. These are the type of deposits that get mined very easily and quickly. And these aren't your 300 million pound deposits, your 200 million pound deposits. These are your deposits that are anywhere from less than 5 million pounds, 10 million pounds, 20 million pounds. They're smaller in scale, but they're easier to move because the economics work. If we continue open pit mining, but even with sandstone, typically you need higher grades. Why would you need higher grades if you've got sandstone? It all boils down to water. That sandstone's an aquifer. Water's flowing through that all the time. It's like a sponge. If you look on the right-hand side there, Midwest deposit, which is about 200 meters beneath the surface. Now, in any other environment, that should be mined, without a doubt. 200 meters is not deep, but it's got about 150 meters, 200 meters of sandstone cover on top of that. They did test mining on that, and they found out they were pumping out about 25,000 liters of water per day. It's a lot of water when you consider that. And if you consider that it's in contact with uranium, then you have to consider it to be contaminated. You have to treat that. So it's not an easy environment. The only two mines that have ever gone into production underneath 100 meters sandstone cover are Cigar Lake and MacArthur River. Both those underground mines, both of them flooded twice, again, emphasizing the water issues. But they're also the highest grade uranium deposits in the world. They're over 300 million pounds when they started mining, and they're the most valuable commodity mined in the entire world by far. There's nothing that comes close. I worked at Red Lake's Gold Corp's Red Lake mine back in the day in 2005, and I've seen some of their showcase core, and it's beautiful high grade gold, 10,000 ounces gold. That value does not compare to what you get out of Cigar Lake or MacArthur River. That's the value of uranium, especially in the Athabasca. That's what drives us all to explore the Athabasca. These things are rich. These things are valuable. Our thesis, if we can find a Cigar Lake or a MacArthur River that is open pitable, you've got the best uranium deposit in the world, without a doubt. Financials, 103 million shares outstanding. That is slightly out of date. We will update that with our next quarter. We did the raise in which we raised 11.5 or $10.7 million. So we do have more shares outstanding. Current share price around 43 cents. Gives 45 million market cap. That market cap would be just over 50 with if we include the rest of the shares. Cash on hand is roughly about 15 to 17 million. So again, that 10.6 is from our previous quarter. Lots of funds to go around to continue exploration. Company Insider is about 15%. Sprott ETF owns about 10%. All of that was purchased off the open market. And then the institutional funds and retail take up the remaining 75%. That's who we are. A bunch of good-looking guys. Baselode is part of the OR group of companies, which is 6 companies all rolled under the OR group umbrella. A lot of successful companies. Metal Energy's had huge success. American Eagle Gold, big discovery. QC Copper and Gold has a mammoth copper resource in Quebec. Mustango Rivers recently discovered high-grade gold in northwestern Ontario. Very successful group of companies. Forward-looking statements. And if you'd like to reach out to me, jsykesORgroup.com. You can follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can reach out to me directly. I'm always happy to hear from new investors, and I reply to emails. And that's all the time I have remaining. If you do have any further questions, you can email me directly, or if you can sign up via the meetings tab. I'd be happy to meet you one-on-one.